Hi guys, long time no see. Today we're going to talk about preparing and gluing carbon chassis. I often get asked about my procedure in gluing or preparing the chassis, and I know a lot of guys out there, they prefer to take their time and spend a lot of time and effort into gluing the whole chassis, the whole edge of the chassis, to make it look really nice and to make it stronger and less prone to delaminating in a crash. And that's a really good method, and I can recommend that for durability. But for performance, I prefer to not glue the entire chassis. I only glue the very edge at the rear, this bit right here, because when you race on asphalt, the chassis can delaminate in this bit here when you have a crash, when you land on the back of the car, or when you even just from accelerating from the car squatting into the ground like this, it can make the chassis tear apart at the back. So the most fragile bit of the chassis is right here, and that's why I glue only that part. And why do I not glue the whole chassis? I don't glue the whole chassis because when you add glue to the edges of the chassis, you actually make it stiffer. So I don't want to make the flex any different to what it's supposed to be, and I don't want to stiffen up the chassis. That's why I only glue the very rear bit, and I'm gonna show you how I do it and in a step-by-step procedure. So the process is really simple. First of all, we need to make sure that the chassis is flat and it hasn't been damaged for whichever reason, and make sure that all the countersunk holes are perfectly drilled out and that the chassis is ready to use. So before you glue it, make sure that it's in the best possible condition. Okay, when that's done, I grab a file. It's not a super rough file, but it's not super fine either, so it's something in between. And I use this to file the edges of the chassis to take off this sharp edge. And this is especially important when racing on carpet, because during cornering you don't want any sharp edge of the chassis to grab the carpet and slow the car down. And I do this for racing on asphalt as well. So just lightly file it like this. Just take the edge off the sides, both sides. Done. So when that is done, we move on to the next step, which is gluing. So as I've explained, I only glue the very rear bit of the chassis. But before gluing, I use a kicker CA activator. I spray it on. I spray it on the bit where I'm gonna glue. Then just let it air dry for a little bit. Actually it dries instantly, but anyway. Take glue. It's a thin CA glue meant for tires. Actually, this is from Hot Race, but any thin CA glue will do the job. So I then carefully add the glue to the bit where I've explained. It's easier to control the amount of glue you put when you spray the kicker first. That's why I use the kicker before applying the glue. Otherwise you'll find the glue running all over the place, and it will run along the edges of the chassis further than you meant to add. So when that is done, very quick, When that is done, we spray a bit of activator to seal the glue, and that's done. That's the procedure I use to prepare and glue carbon chassis.